Welcome. Have you ever walked into a room and felt the energy drain instantly, as if an invisible puncture had been made in the air? You weren't dreaming. You were standing near a biological vacuum. Today, we peel back the skin on their most guarded obsession. Why does the narcissist hunt only one specific type of person? The answer is a lethal truth they hide in the dark. Imagine a master thief standing before a row of safes, not caring which one he cracks as long as the gold inside is pure. That is the narcissist entering your life. They didn't choose you because of your unique soul. They chose you because your light was the most available for siphoning. The big haunting question is, why is their obsession so indiscriminate and yet so precise? You have spent years wondering what was so special about the bond you shared. You thought you were the one who finally tamed the beast, the only one who understood their hidden pain. But stay with me, because the secret knowledge is this: they are frequency pirates. They don't fall for you, they fall for the reflection of their own fake godhood they see in your trusting eyes. For the narcissist, the act of selecting a target is a clinical laboratory experiment. They are looking for a host, a battery, a mirror. It doesn't matter if you are a doctor, an artist, or a saint. If you have deep empathy, you are the mark. They are somatic junkies in a state of permanent hunger, and any warm body with a radiant pulse will suffice for their next dark fix. Have you noticed the terrifying speed at which they move? That soul-merging intensity that felt like destiny was actually a digital download of your personality. They were siphoning your data, your history, and your dreams to build a skin-tight mask of the perfect partner. It feels like love because it is a mirror image of your own capacity to care. You were loving yourself. We are pulling back the heavy curtains on the predator's internal famine. We are going to expose the hidden mechanics that allow them to jump from one soulmate to the next without a single day of grief. This isn't just a story about a bad breakup, it is a clinical breakdown of a soul without a center. You are about to see the man behind the curtain, and he is chillingly small. Most people think these predators are invincible masters of seduction, but they are actually emotional scavengers. They are cursed to hunt for a high that always leaves them emaciated. They were gasping for air in their own vacuum, and your kindness was the only oxygen tank in sight. They didn't love you, they loved the way you made them feel like they weren't actually rotting. Imagine the psychological weight of being a person who only feels real when someone else is worshipping them. That is the narcissist's internal landscape. When the lights go out and they are alone, their mirror goes dark. They are left with the hollow child hiding in the basement. This is why they hunt your type, because your light is the only thing that delays their total collapse. Tonight, we perform the autopsy on their most guarded secret. We are uncovering the biological and psychological debt they can never repay. You are not a victim of your love, you are a survivor of a spiritual heist. The narcissist is terrified of the silence that follows the conquest because the silence is a mirror that refuses to lie. And in that mirror, they see only a ghost. This first chapter is your sanctuary of clarity. You have been blaming your inadequacy for the eventual distance, but the distance is the narcissist's own internal decay. They lost the bet the moment you decided to seek the truth. As we move into the breakdown, remember, their obsession is a predatory transaction. The lights are up, and the predator is finally, undeniably visible. To understand why a narcissist can only love your type, you must realize they are a collection of stolen personas with no original signal. They are human-shaped voids. They don't have a stable self to offer, so they must borrow yours. They don't look for a partner, they look for a donor. They are the ultimate parasites of the spirit, wandering the earth for a fresh heart. Metaphorically, the narcissist is a high-end hologram that requires a constant stream of data from a projector. You were that data. When the act is over and the honeymoon phase ends, the image starts to glitch. Without your ongoing adoration to fuel the simulation, the projected image of the perfect lover begins to flicker. You start to see the gray, petty child hiding there. Their hidden motive for the love bomb is internal regulation. A narcissist cannot regulate their own emotions. They need to offload their toxic waste into a receptacle. They used you as a psychological kidney to filter the poison out of their system. They hunt anyone who is willing to take on their shame, their rage, and their self-hatred while smiling back and saying okay. We must talk about the narcissistic void as a spiritual hunger that eats character. Because they have no internal pilot, they are blown by the winds of external validation. When the physical supply was high, they felt inflated. But in the silence that inevitably follows, they flatline. This flatline is a psychic death. Their hunt is the frantic attempt to find a new heart to pump. Imagine a star that has run out of hydrogen. It begins to contract and collapse under its own gravity. That is the narcissist's ego. They have burned through the supply you provided, and the void is calling them back. They fall in love again instantly because they are trying to outrun the darkness. They are isolated in a cold universe, even while they are lying next to you. Their internal chaos is a static storm of projective identification. In the quiet, they start to project their own self-loathing onto you. This is why they suddenly get mean or pick a fight. They need to turn you into the abuser, so they can feel like the victim again. This roleplay is the only way they avoid the mirror. They would rather be in a war than live in the truth. The narcissist is a somatic junkie who has worn out their own reward circuitry. They have spent decades chasing the dopamine of conquest, but the law of diminishing returns has kicked in. The obsession they feel for a new target is just the temporary relief of a fresh hit. It has nothing to do with the person. They are anhedonic, incapable of peace, pacing to their own grave. In the dark, the narcissist experiences somatic dissociation. They literally lose the ability to feel their own skin without someone else touching it with worship. Without that worship, they feel like they are dissolving into the gray static of the void. This is the terminal disease of a soul that has lost its center. They are ghosts in a human suit, haunting the beds of living. Deep down, the narcissist finds human vulnerability and physical need to be repulsive. It reminds them of their own fragility. They despise you for loving them. But in this state of prolonged hunger, the disgust is splashbacking. They are disgusted by their own face in the mirror. They are drowning in a sea of self-loathing, and every hand they reach for is a hand they bit. The psychological breakdown reveals an abuser as a closed system running out of entropy. They are cooling down to absolute zero. Their obsession is the final, frantic motion before the total freeze. As we move into the turning point, you will see what happens when the empath finally switches off the lights. You are going to see the power shift from the ghost back to the sun. The dramatic turning point arrives in the absolute silence of your indifference. It happens the moment you stop trying to explain why you are hurt. You stop defending your worth. You stop reacting to their cycles. This is the psychological plot twist. They have been baiting you for years, fishing for a response to anchor their reality. But today, the hook finds only deep water. Watch the narcissists panic when the mirror refuses to reflect their fake image. They are addicts who have just been cut off by their dealer. They will try a hysterical Hoover, crying fake tears and promising heaven and earth just to see if the old strings still pull. But you are not moving. This stillness is traumatic to the predator. They scent their own total irrelevance. This is the moment of internal sovereign alignment where you realize their abuse was a filter they placed over your eyes. You take the filter off and see the abuser for what they actually are, a small, frightened, empty shell screaming for attention. The rot is visible now. You don't feel anger anymore, you feel clinical observation. You are the scientist, they are the specimen. When rage fails, they pivot to strategic victimhood. They will invent illnesses, financial crises, or family dramas to guilt-trip you into resuming the connection. They are frantically trying to load the syringe of their shame and inject it into your compassion. But you see the calculation. You recognize the performance. By naming the demon, you strip its power and walk past. The silence of the empath becomes the acid that accelerates the rot. Without your empathy to heal the wounds they self-inflict, the abuser's internal injuries fester. They start fighting with everyone else. They burn their own house down just to feel the heat. They are spiraling into chaos because they cannot exist without a calm center to disturb. You have finally cut the rope. They attempt a malignant discard to save the last shred of their ego. They announce to the world that you are the problem, that you are the narcissist. This is a psychological confession of their internal failure. They are projecting their own death onto you. But you are relieved. You accept the discard like a promotion. You watch them walk out and feel the density finally lift. Show the shift in the energetic signature of your life. The moment the abuser is gone, the space sanctifies. You strip the bed, you burn the sage, and you open the windows. You realize that their obsession was a contagion they brought into your temple. Now that the carrier is gone, your vitality returns. You breathe into your center and feel the radiance of your sovereign spirit. This is a psychological shift. You forgive the vessel for absorbing the rot. You realize your body was just trying to survive a toxic spill. You nurture the flesh with self-respect. You realize the relationship was a dark initiation that forced you to find your internal sword. You thank the trauma for breaking the mirror and revealing the sovereign. You have finally graduated. This is the moment of total detachment. You look at the past and you don't feel pain, you feel physics. You see the mechanism of the energy transfer. The abuser is a name you barely remember. They are a minor malfunction in the great machine of your evolution. The turning point is absolute. You are inhabiting your life with an intensity that is terrifying to the weak. Home. As we move into the collapse, remember, the abuser depends on your reaction to stay 3D. By withdrawing your focus, you have deleted their existence in your universe. They are going to panic. They are going to burn their own world down to get your attention. But you are no longer the firefighter. You are watching the fire from the high ground, safe in your own solar sovereignty. The collapse of the narcissist is a spectacle of absolute void. When the empath stops absorbing the rot, the abuser's false self shatters from the internal pressure of its own nothingness. They experience narcissistic mortification, the psychic death they've been running from since childhood. You will see them acting out with manic recklessness. Their mask is melting like acid. Their social consequences are swift and public. As the recovered empath moves through the world with quiet dignity and icy indifference, the abuser's smear campaign evaporates into the stench of desperation. The truth has its own gravity. People start seeing the pattern of the withered victims the abuser leaves behind. You are the witness who survived the clinical autopsy. The internal panic of the abuser becomes a manic screaming for new supply that no longer exists in your space. They look for you in every face they exploit, but no one can reflect the God image you once gave them. They are starving for the high-grade empathy your sacred energy used to provide, but the pharmacy is permanently closed. They killed the golden goose for sport. Watch the harsh truth of their new life. They look old. They look grey. They look brittle. The life force they stole from you has expired, and they have no internal reactor to generate more. They are cursed to repeat the same loop with lesser and lesser souls until they draw their last breath. They are trapped in a body that is closing down, haunted by the memory of the sun. The tone is brutally cold and analytical. The abuser is a parasite that underestimated the resilience of the empath. By moving on spiritually, you have executed the predator. They are the walking dead, carrying the corpse of their own ego. They hate you for surviving their spiritual warfare. Every breath of peace you take is a poison to their delusion. They are collapsing. Internal panic leads to pathological stalking of your happiness. They analyze your every post, searching for a sign of pain, a sign of return. But they find nothing but strength. This strength is traumatic to the abuser. It debunks their God complex. It proves they are just a glitch in your evolution. They are screaming from the shadows, trying to cast a spell you don't hear. The social discard concludes with the final isolation. The flying monkeys have woken up. The family has distanced themselves. The abuser is left alone with the ghost of the one they couldn't destroy. This isolation is the mirror they feared their whole life. In the silence, they are forced to hear the echoes of their own lies. They are stroking the air where you used to be. Brutally truthful analysis. The abuser failed because they miscalculated the resilience of the spirit. They thought they could starve the empath, but they only forced the empath to hibernate and evolve. Once you wake up and retain your energy, you are invisible to their manipulation. The narcissist is a shadow that cannot exist in the presence of your internal solar truth. Intensify the collapse. You watch their disintegration with a sense of sacred justice. You don't feel vengeance, you feel order. You see that the world is actually safe because you are the one who defines your reality. The abuser's rage is a distant noise that no longer reaches your frequency. You are living at a depth they cannot reach. The monster is finally, clinically, dead. As we enter the final truth, look at the ruin of the abuser and realize, you are the winner. The rot was just the shell of your evolution. You have found the key. You have opened the door. You have walked into the world and the world recognized you. The final truth is cinematic, empowering, and saturated with radiance. The collapse is complete. The sunrise is now internal. We have reached the final truth. The narcissist didn't love you because they are fundamentally incapable of the concept. They were obsessed with you because you were a magnificent host. Their ability to only hunt your type is the proof of their internal poverty. You were never the problem, you were the prize. Today, you are taking that prize home and locking the door. Emotional closure comes from the absolute knowledge that the abuser never existed as the person you loved. You were in love with a reflection of your own empathy. Today, you have taken the reflection back. You are closing the case file on the predator. You have realized that their hate was a badge of honor. A being of darkness will always hate the sun. You are the sun. Healing is the cinematic slow burn of presence. It is the feeling of the ground under your feet, the sound of your own voice telling the truth, and the sight of a future that is unwritten and safe. You are reprogramming your nervous system to expect beauty and respect. You are learning that empathy is a superpower, not a sentence. You are finding your soul in the quiet. Empowerment is the quiet strength of the empath who refused to stay defined by the predator. You have seen the bottom of the abyss and you brought back the fire. You are unshakable. The narcissist's screams from the shadows are just background noise in the symphony of your life. You have changed the frequency. You are tuned into the voice of the universe and the earth. You are part of a global awakening of sovereign empaths who are refusing to be supply. We are collective strength. We are spiritually invincible. The narcissist's obsession with your energy was the last stand of a dying parasite. The age of the predator is ending. The age of the authentic is beginning. Your voice is a siren of truth for others who are still shaking. Imagine the final scene. You are standing on a mountain peak at dawn. The wind is blowing through your spirit, cleansing the last traces of the abuser's shadows. Below you, the dark valley of the narcissistic trap is dissolving in the light of the new day. Above you, the sky is exploding with colors you can finally see again. You are whole. You are complete. You are home. Cinematic closing imagery. The abuser is now a distant ghost, stalking the ruins of a life they burnt. They are screaming at the wind, begging the dust to become the host again. But the dust stays dust. You are flesh and blood, light and fire, moving at the speed of joy. You have found your tribe. You have found your peace. The spiritual necrosis was just a dark cocoon. The final truth deliverance. The narcissist tried to kill the empath because they were terrified of what would happen if the soul went sovereign. They wanted to keep you as a battery, but the battery exploded into a sun. You are magnificent. You are unstoppable. You have won the game by walking off the field. You have ascended beyond the manipulation. The ghost is dead. Reclaim your space. Reclaim your voice. Reclaim your right to walk the earth with confidence and dignity. The sexual killer, the psychological parasite, and the emotional arsonist have no power here in the presence of your light. Use it to warm your own life. Use it to create beauty. You are a generator of universal light, and the grid is restored. You are the master. The narcissist's obsession for your type is the evidence of their ultimate isolation, but your love for yourself is the spark that burns their kingdom to the ground. Walk into your future with the fire of the chosen, because the predator has finally run out of time and you have just begun to live. The act is over, the mask is shattered, and you are finally, irrevocably free.